Now that's funny. Okay, welcome to Nutria News. Thanks for coming. My name is Brian, and I just did the funniest thing. I just put in AZ audit. Look what came up. Well, YouTube is really refining its intent, isn't it? Okay, that's how I'm gonna say it. And so, anyway, let's go ahead and go right there, baby. Okay, here we go.
And joining me now with more on the surge in new restrictive voting laws across the country is Arizona's Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, a strong critic of her own state's Republican-led election law restrictions. She's also a Democratic candidate for governor. Well, Madam Secretary, very good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. There's already been movement in your state on this, as you know, better than anyone, with attempts to purge who state Republicans are calling infrequent mail voters. How much worse are you seeing it right there in Arizona, and as dozens of other states are following your lead, your state's lead, I should say?
Yeah, restrictive voter laws are not new in Arizona, but what we're seeing that's new this year is everything is tied to the 2020 election, the big lie from the 2020 election, and this audit this so-called audit being conducted. And it's being led by people who are mad about the election result, and they don't like who showed up to vote, and so they want to make it harder for those folks to vote in the future.
And one of the things that is striking to me is that these changes in the election law are not just making it harder for people to vote, restricting access. They're also nullification by changing the way votes are counted and who gets to count the votes if they don't like the results, really eliminating many of the local officials.
Right, we're definitely seeing an overreach, removing power from election officials, changing, who is responsible for seating electors. We saw a bill proposed here that would allow the legislature to overturn the electors. The sponsor of that bill is now running for Secretary of State, as is the author of other restrictive voting bills that have been passed into law. So this is really concerning trend that we're seeing across the country of folks who don't like the outcome, and so they're trying to put their thumb on the scale of the process.
And what is the outcome on this so-called audit? Some people are more correctly calling it a fraudit. Is that going to be finished this week? And does that then, get taken seriously by the Republicans in charge?
Well, we have heard that it is supposed to be wrapping up this week and that they plan to issue a report several weeks down the road. But what we have been focused on throughout this process is the lack of procedures and consistency with the way anything's being carried out, the lack of security, the lack of transparency, all things that you would see in a valid post-election audit. So this is the furthest thing you can get from an audit, and we really have no confidence that the result is going to be a valid result or an accurate reflection of the will of the voters in this last election, that the results we certified were. So we're definitely concerned about what they're going to come out with, and what the Republican leadership will do with that result, which we know is not going to be a valid result.
Okay, so they're really attacking that hard. I've seen lots and lots of reports on how that is not valid. The fraudit, they call it, is... I really don't know what to make of that. It looks to me like they're worried. But let's see what the other side says about that. Boom.
I'll pick up two really, really important points, Stephen, just following up on what Boris said. And here's where it all breaks down. Really simple. If they don't have the ballots in Arizona, they don't have the victory. If they don't have the ballots, they don't have the victory. And what follows from that is that Arizona then needs to decertify their electors. That's the direction that this is headed. Everybody's going to be watching. Do they, in fact, have the ballots? And now you pull out and you think big picture, what is the left trying to do? This is all part of a pattern. You think back to the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. What did they say? For years, they said anybody who says, well, this was actually about Hillary Clinton and the Steele dossier, they said that was all a conspiracy theory. But what happened at the end of the day, after years, it was proven
true.
The right was right. We were right. The MAGA movement was right. When it came to Hunter Biden, what did the left do? They brought out all of these fake intelligence officials to say that all of this stuff about Hunter Biden profiting from his deals, that all of that was part of a psyop, that all of that was part of a foreign intelligence operation. It was a complete lie pushed by the left. Again, the MAGA movement was right. What about the Wuhan virus? They came out and they said anyone who's looking at the evidence, who's saying, well, wait a second, maybe this actually started in a lab in Wuhan. They said, if you think that, not only are you wrong, they said you might even be racist. But what happens now? The evidence is coming in. It's looking more and more like that is a theory with a tremendous amount of evidence to support it. So what you're seeing again and again and again is that the left attacks people. They attack people who bring up facts that are inconvenient. And that is exactly what is happening with the election. They are attacking people. They're going after them. They're calling them names. They're attacking them personally because they don't want to deal with the statistical facts of what is happening in this election. We have to make sure that we're following it.
With the forensic analysis, looking at these 147,000 mail-in ballots. And what is at issue here? There's a couple of key things. Here's the two key things is, were there counterfeit ballots? 6 affidavits. Now, we had 4, now it's 6. 6 affidavits of veteran election officials are alleging that up to 30,000 of these 147 ballots are fake. Somebody printed them up on a machine and ran them through the vote counting machines. They're not real. They're not attached to anybody. There are 4 pieces of evidence for this. None of these are going away. None of these can be explained. Number one, they're on different paper. What kind of paper are they on? Why isn't the same paper that everything else is on? Number two, they're not folded. Paper. Well, what do you mean they're not folded? In order to get an absentee ballot, you have to get it in the mail, which means that the Department of Elections in Georgia machine folded the ballot. You can't have a ballot in an envelope that you mail back or Dropbox back that's not folded. You either got it folded or you sent it back folded or both with an envelope. So why aren't they folded? Number three, you've got the same exact bubble mark on the ballot, the same one for upwards of 30,000 of these ballots. 97% of them voting for Joe Biden, 97% voting for John Ossoff. And the fourth thing is the affidavits say that these the bubble marks are not made by an ink pen or a pencil, that they're made by a machine. These are the things that they're going to look at. Now, they did an analysis batch of 950 military ballots. 950. I want you to grasp what the findings are. And this is a matter of public record. Nobody made this up. Out of a batch of 950 military mail-in ballots, Joe Biden got 950 votes, Trump 0. That's 100%. That is virtually impossible to have happen. Not only that, they were in sequential order. That's also impossible. That means that every ballot that came in the mail is somehow in exact sequential order. How is that possible? These are the things they're going to look at. This is why Burt Jones and Brandon Beach today, 2 state senators, called for the GBI to get involved. Here's the other thing Burt Jones said, state senator there. If the Judge Amero makes a declaratory judgment that counterfeit ballots were there and that some of them were counted twice, that's the other possibility here, that he's going to demand that Governor Kemp call a special session and they're going to start decertifying elections. Trump, Biden. Second one, U.S. Senate. Purdue likely won in the first ballot. Why is Ossoff there? Why was there a runoff? Number 3, a House seat, 7th district, 400 of votes separated the Democrat winning. Plus, there were a number of seats in the Georgia House that were under 200 or 300. All of those are going to call for a special session to be decertified. Steve, this is unbelievable what is going on.
Wow.
I know it. Hang on. I'm going to keep you over the break. We got Arizona. We got Matt Braynard. We got tons of breaking news.
Okay, guys. So here. That's enough. So do you see what's going on? So Arizona's finding some things, and people are starting to freak out. This is all going to turn upside down on them. Wouldn't it be hilarious if people started decertifying? I just think it would be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. What do you think? Do you think this should go forward? Do you think it should stop? Do you want decertification if shenanigans are found? Please tell me in the comments below. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on the Neutral News. My name is Brian, and please give me a like if you like what you see. Thanks for watching.